Hello guys, welcome to another session. So today we are going to discuss a very sensitive and a controversial topic, that is Santhara or Sallekhana, which is a religious practice in Jainism which involved fasting unto death. And this practice has existed for centuries and is viewed by Jain community as a means to attain the spiritual liberation. But it is recently coming into debates on ethics, child rights, and the legal boundaries after that case involving 3-year-old girl in Indore came to light. So I'll be discussing in details of that. So we'll be, it's actually a tough topic. It's a very controversial topic. It's a very sensitive topic also. So I'll talk about the concepts and everything related to this. So when we talk about Santhara, it's a traditional rites and ritual in Jainism, which is called fast unto death. Okay. It is also known as Sallekhana, and it's a centuries old tradition where a person voluntarily decides to fast until death. Now, a 3-year child, whether she can voluntarily decide that she is going to fast until death is what we need to answer towards the end, right? So, and gradually, what will happen? Food and water intake are stopped until the person passed away, right? Passes away, and mostly practiced by members of the Shwetambar sect of Jain. So, the purpose is the spiritual purification and liberation, moksha, by detaching from the physical body and worldly desires. So when this is practiced, that's something which we need to understand again. It is usually undertaken by elderly people. They are nearing death or those with incurable diseases, right? So they don't have any scope for further living, and it is seen as a means of spiritual progress, especially when the physical suffering is extreme and the death is certain. That is the time it should be, and it is normally practiced, and it is not considered suicide in Jainism. It's not euthanasia that we talk about normally in such kind of situation, but it is different. It is a kind of spiritual attainment, and it is done in full consciousness and with spiritual reflection also. Now if you look at the process, see, the person consult with Jain monks and the family members, and they seek religious approval from the spiritual leaders. And food and liquid consumptions are gradually will be reduced. And starting from solid food initially, you will stop, and then liquid like milk and water you will stop, and eventually you will die. So during this period, the person is engaged in meditation, prayer, chanting, and seeking forgiveness and all those. And the process is concluded with the death during meditation. During this phase you will die, and often that while chanting the Naukar mantra, there is something called as Naukar mantra. Okay. Now if you look at the philosophical justification of this, the Jain scriptures like Tattvartha Sutra that basically mention it as a path to non-attachment and non-violence. So I'm talking about the philosophical justification. And Jain beliefs actually suggest it's a conscious decision to end life peacefully and spiritually. Now we need to come to the legal controversy. In 2015, the Rajasthan High Court have declared Santhara illegal and termed it as abetment to suicide under section IPC section 306 and 309. And Jain community protested. Of course, this is something against the religion, citing it as a violation of the freedom of religion under Article 25 and right to life under Article 21. They argued that the right to life also include the right to die with dignity. And the matter was escalated to the Supreme Court, which placed a stay on the Rajasthan High Court's decision at that point of time. And as of now, its legal status is unresolved and under sub judice. So the recent controversy, that's something which is pathetic. So that the recent cases, in Indore, Madhya Pradesh, involving a 3-year-old girl named Vyana Jain. The girl was diagnosed with terminal brain tumor, yes, and it is considered as incurable and causing immense pain. So her parents, what they did is, after consulting with the Jain monk, Rajesh Muni Maharaj, got the permission for her to go undergo Santhara. Food and water gradually withdrawn, and she passed away on March 21. And her name was recorded in the Golden Book of World Records as the youngest person to undertake Santhara. And this led to outrage and legal action with the child's rights organizations, legal experts, and medical professionals, and condemning this as a violation of child rights. And if you look at the legal questions, the ethical questions involved here, see whether a minor can be subjected to a religious death ritual. And we discussed in the beginning, this is something which has to be voluntary, right? And whether that 3-year-old kid have, the emotional or that mental maturity to do such kind of voluntary act. It's forced cruelty. And if you see, if the right to religion can override the child's right to life and protection, that's something which need to be discussed. That's legal, very much legal, and ethics also involved. So what is important here, whether it is your right to religion or that the child's 3-year-old child's right to life and protection. So till the time she live, let her live, even if it is diagnosed with such kind of disease or whatever, right? Again, questions of criminal negligence or murder is there. And the Madhya Pradesh State Commission for Protection of Child Rights have issued notice to the parents, the monk involved in this, and the Indore district administration also. So we'll have to wait and watch what is actually the outcome of this. Again, if you look at the moral and legal implication, there are a lot of things involved: legal, moral, ethical, right? So it raises concerns over the religious coercion on minors. How can you force a minor to undergo such kind of religious practices? And it also highlights that gaps in the Indian laws regarding the protection of minor from religious influence. And the ethical debate on whether parents should be allowed to decide on fast and to death, or for terminally ill children, and all these things are a bigger question. And that's what actually have been discussed for some time after this case. See, Santhara represent a deep rooted tradition in Jainism with profound spiritual significance. Okay, but you look at it, what I discussed in the beginning, it has to be by the elder people who are nearing the death, old age people or terminally ill. But this kind of case should not be taken, right? Elder people and they are terminally ill, then you should go for it. You go for it as per your religion, but you cannot force others. It has to be voluntary. Here it is not voluntary, but the application on minors, that introduces that complex ethical and legal dilemma. I'm not talking about the religious tradition. I'm not criticizing the religious tradition of Jains. If it is older people, perfect, it is go for it, if you are attaining that spiritual salvation or whatever. But if it is done for a minor 3-year-old kid, what she know? She don't even know about her disease also, right? So the broader question remains whether or should religious beliefs allow overriding the child's right to life and protection. And this incident, in fact, reignited that debate over religious freedom versus religious rights, and it is now upon the legal system to decide its course. Otherwise, such kind of incidents will repeat again and again. If you cannot treat, if see, the parents don't want to waste money on the treatment or what, or you don't want to spend time on taking care of the child or what. Okay, so that's about the session, guys. Thank you so much. It's just an awareness video. Thank you.